Okay, so I'm going to be in this documentary about my friend Casey here. Casey was the lead singer of the punk rock band Amen. And years ago, I was asked to document his story because he had just gotten arrested. He had plowed into a bunch of cars in Burbank on a street. And it was all over TMZ, blah, blah, blah. So somebody asked me, my friend David Cocconi asked me to come out and meet Casey and document his story and get his side of everything. So I did. I didn't know Casey. And when I ghostwrite for someone, I want to hear what they have to say and get to know them through their words and not something I've read online. So, or researched. So back then, I thought, okay, I'll go out and meet this guy. He's he's a punk rock guy. Hold on, I'm grabbing pencils. He's a punk rock guy and he might be kind of scary looking, blah, blah, blah. So at first I just called him on the phone and we had a conversation. And he was so nice. And so I recorded him, of course, because I'm a former journalist and I want accuracy. Anyway, during that time, I was also getting a divorce. I was separated, and this is before I painted or knew I could even do art. And someone I knew was sketching one day, and I said, I want to try that. So I picked up a number 2 pencil and I started sketching. Well, I had met Casey, and I did this little sketch, but I can't find the original photo that I sketched it from. And these guys are coming here from London tomorrow to interview me about this and about him and for their documentary, and I'm going to provide them with all the recordings that I did when I interviewed Casey so they can finish his album, and it's going to be interesting. So I found the only photo, the reference photo that I could get closest, and he's got age on him, and it's much more accurate, of course, I feel, and I've got more skills now. So I'm going to update this photo or this sketch from November 18th, 2012. And I'm just going to add some things to it. And I'm going to give it to the guys to take back to London. So here I've got some number 2 pencils, which is what I originally sketched it in. And now I'm going to do some new art supplies and add a little paint maybe to it. It looks like to me, for some reason, whatever way, and I didn't have the technology I have now back then, but however I was looking at the perspective, it looks like I was leaving out a lot of like I smashed his face a little. So I'm going to definitely narrow some things and lengthen his eyes, etc. So here we go. This is just me repurposing. I don't even know if it's repurposing. It's redoing, updating the original art I had done. And because I love Casey, he was a great guy. So let me tell you about that. So here I lived in Temecula, California at the time. And my friend David was like, hey, you're getting this divorce and you're going to need to have a skill set to go back into once you're divorced, and other than being a stay-at-home mom, etc. And actually at the time I was in California to make a film. I was going to produce this cowboy Western comedy with my brother and some of his friends. So anyway, I had always been, though, a writer, a tech writer, and I'm a tech writer now during the day. And so I thought, okay, yeah, I'll sharpen my skills. I had done I had done journalism in Utah and stuff like that. So I can already start to see quite the difference in here. Anyway, so I thought, okay, I'll call him. You know, but look at him. That's Case, right? You think, oh, yikes, this guy's going to be scary. Punk rocker, cuts himself on stage, blah, blah, blah. The nicest guy. So nice. And we had a great chat, a great conversation of life and expectations of what he wanted out of a book. And I had done a little ghostwriting at that point. And so we agreed to meet. And I went up to LA, went to Burbank where he was living. And it seems like Pink was his neighbor, or somebody like that was his neighbor. And we went, he took me to dinner, took me to lunch actually. Such a nice guy. He pulled out the chair, he ordered my meal for me, suggesting what to order, because I had never ate at this kind of a restaurant. I think it was Indian, but it was some sort of, I don't know, like something I had never really had before. So it was like his favorite restaurant. And so we went there, and he was just really, really accommodating, really nice, really nice. And, you know, you think, oh, he's being nice because of what you're going to write. Well, I wasn't a journalist. At the time, I was writing his story for him. So it didn't matter. I mean, he could have been like, write this down. I would have done it. You know, that's what you do. But, or at least that's what you just got to trust who you're dealing with. So we hit it off, and we went back to his place, and I got to meet his pets, which were his Darby and, oh shoot, I forgot the other one's name right now. But anyway, his two dogs. Let's see. And he was just really, really nice. They were sweet as can be. And yeah, he was so sweet. So we had a nice chat. I've got hours worth of conversation. I'm really looking forward to seeing what these guys are going to do with this information. One of them was his guitarist at the time. I think he's like really good friends with him, and he was his guitarist and friend for a long time, it sounds like. So it looks like I don't know what I did here. But then again, this picture I went from originally, Casey was really young. So just kind of outlining some things now. And yeah, so here's, this is what I'm going to do with it. And I'm probably going to actually, once I get into this, kind of just fast forward this or do a time lapse. So you're not just having to hang out for all of this on such a slower pace. Hear my stories. But so I think it's already looking better. I mean, I'm going to add a little bit of color to this too. But I mean, I didn't know what I was doing back then when I had first done this sketch. I was just learning about shadowing and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully this is going to be good. I've come a long way. You know, I've painted sides of buildings now. Yeah, so I'm going to get busy here. And at this point, I'm going to kind of do a little mark with my hand to let me know where to kind of go from here, and just kind of fast forward it. But you'll also be able to check back on my channel when the time comes and watch the documentary eventually. I don't know when it's coming out or anything. And like I said, I'm meeting these guys right here from London, and they're coming tomorrow to the studio and interview me. And it's going to be a nice little reunion, bittersweet, of course, because our friend is gone. But just like you would just never know this guy was just such a stellar human being, and so smart, unbelievable how intelligent he was. And we could all, it's like I learned a lot from him. Everybody needs a Casey in their life. So, all right.